Hello and welcome to our Accessibility Mini Workshop designed to help you improve your skills around accessibility best practices. We at the Colorado Department of Public Safety, CDPS, are committed to full inclusion of all individuals. Let's begin with some background information. House Bill 21-1110 builds on existing Americans with Disabilities Act's the ADA standards and makes it a state civil rights violation for a government agency to exclude people with disabilities from receiving services or benefits because of a lack of accessibility to them. So this broadens the scope to digital accessibility standards. This goes into effect July 1st of 2024, at which point legal repercussions would fall on each agency that is non-compliant. This could include monetary fines as well. But taken in a larger perspective of the why we are doing this, we need to make this shift because it is best practice, it's the right thing to do, and it aligns with CDPS's mission of delivering critical public safety to all in Colorado. It also is in line with providing superior customer service. So who and what are covered by the law? All technology and communication touchpoints that involve a digital component are now covered through this act. This could mean emails, presentations, forms, documents, and of course, websites and applications as well. Another important thing to note here is that it's not only for external public customers of CDPS, but also impacts internal stakeholders such as the employees of CDPS. This means that we not only have to change how we work in terms of some of our processes in content creation, but things would look much different, whether it is websites, documents, applications, because of the way now that we are changing how we write and interact. We need to be mindful that we are creating and delivering content with all audiences in mind. For some perspective, here are some eye-opening statistics. 1 in 5 people in the US will have some form of disability in their lifetime. So even if right now there is nothing, it could happen to anyone in the future. 300 million people in the world are colorblind. 466 million people are deaf or hard of hearing. All these numbers are expected to grow. So you can see that these statistics will impact both our external and internal stakeholders. And we cannot meet our accessibility goals without your collaboration. So with that in mind, today's workshop is taking a small piece of that, which is images and how we use images so that we can ensure accessibility. So at some point in our communications, we have or will use images. We must remember that when doing so, we should use images to add to the overall meaning and context of the original communication. We must align it with the tone and intent of the message we are trying to convey. Overuse of decorative images can not only slow down the downloading process and the internet speeds, thereby reducing the audience's ability to get to important relevant information fast. So it's best to use decorative images sparingly. Also, remember to resize images so they're not massive file sizes that impact download times. Be mindful that you are using the state of Colorado's branding guidelines whenever you're using images and logos. Color contrast plays a big role in making communications readable. People that have vision disabilities may not be able to perceive the word over the image if there is less contrast. As you can see in this example, the word accessibility is clearly differentiated from the background color. However, if we had used like a dark gray text color, it would have completely meshed into the dark background image, making it difficult to read. Alternative text or alt text is a great accessibility tool that allows for a direct written substitute of the image itself. Again, it has benefits for all users. How often have you experienced a slow internet speed and you're curious what those images are that refuse to open on the web page? Well, if it has alternative text or good informative alternative text assigned to it, that will get displayed much faster or even if the picture doesn't download. So if you come across uninformative alt text that tells you nothing about how the picture was significant to the purpose or context of the message, then you're left feeling frustrated. For example, these examples on the left are all very uninformative. It's a string of letters, a URL, or a file name that doesn't really tell you what the image was about. However, These examples on the right, even though the image didn't download, we do understand that it is the image of a Dell monitor. There are some other important guidelines we need to consider when writing alternative text. There's no need to go into lengthy additional details of describing every minute detail of the image, but how the image adds meaning to the communication must be stated. For example, if we are talking about safety and I show an image of a hard hat, it's not as important to explain that the hard hat has ridges on it, or let's say it has a red curvy border. It's more important to state that the hard hat is being worn by an individual to enhance safety while walking in a construction zone. Avoid picture off or image off when you are describing the alt text. Instead, write a sentence that describes it better, and avoid using a list of keywords, because the screen readers will read it as a list, which again can be confusing. Include any text that is part of the image. For example, again, if we're on a safety topic and we have an image of a road sign that says "do not park," then in the alt text, make sure to mention that "do not park" is listed as part of the text. Decorative images can be skipped over if in the description box we write 2 empty quotation marks, and then the screen reader will know that this is a decorative image and will not waste time reading it. So we can definitely go ahead and practice how to write informative alt text. So on this page, you can see that the same image could have different alt text depending on the context of the message. On the left, we might be discussing work culture, and we have an image of an employee showing his supervisor a project on a computer. Whereas the same image might, on the right over here, could be used in a Chronos guide, where it's indicating that supervisors can help employees navigate through Chronos on a computer screen. So if I click on the image, you can see that it highlights it. There's a blue border around it. By highlighting it, we know that the image has been selected. Then we can right-click our mouse button, and we can go to alt text. This is the way, this is the option how we can add alt text to it. So if you click on alt text, it opens up a dialog box, and you'll see two options. One is to write a title, one is to write a description. The title is optional, you can skip it, but the description you must write because that's what the screen reader is going to read. Here we're seeing the possible alt text. If it was in the context of work culture, we would say employee shows a supervisor's success on a project at the computer, and click OK. Here, same thing, clicking on the image, highlights it, right-clicking, and then going to alt text. One way we could use this image is saying that a supervisor helps an employee requesting a day off through Chronos. So different meanings, different alt text. Let's go ahead and try to practice some additional, writing some additional alt text. So on this practice document, you can see there are different images. Of course, the correct way would be to right-click, use alt text like I just showed you. However, for the purposes of having the text and the image together, we created this table so you can see what alt text we could write. In the first example, we could have some bad alt text, which could mean like it's a list of words. It could be bighorn sheep, ram, mammal, or even like it's maybe scientific name. Okay, alt text would be Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep, but better would be if I said it's a close-up of a Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep. Again, it all depends on the meaning we are trying to convey. For example, over here, I could say that it's Governor Polis waving his hand at a spectator during a meeting or a conference. Or it could be general. It could be a man in a suit looking excited and waving his hand. So it all depends upon the meaning or the intent of the meaning. Like we mentioned earlier, always remember to include the text in the images. So for example, here we would say that it is the sign indicating that the road is closed, along with a detour with an arrow pointing to the right. So that's important public safety information. So as you can see, you can take some time to practice how you write and add alt text to your images. One good thing to note is that you can now use this training to get credit in Saba. So use this link to register and launch the course. You'll need to select Mark Complete and obviously choose the images quiz. It's a very short quiz, about 3 questions, takes less than 5 minutes, and completing it will show your supervisor that you're learning how to become proficient in your accessibility goals. We really value your collaboration and your insights into making our documents more accessible. Thank you so much for your patience and for your collaboration.